Welcome to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge, your front row seat to the boldest ideas and smartest strategies in the marketing game. Your host is Reed Hansen, Chief Growth Officer at MarketSurge.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge. I'm your host, Reed Hansen. Everyone's posting content right now, but very few people are actually building a brand. Today's guest has worked with over 150 founders from major personal brands to top Amazon companies and helped generate more than 1 billion views online. That's billion with a B. But more importantly, he's helped turn content into something most people miss, trust that actually converts. Jake Isham is a filmmaker turned brand strategist who helps founders become impossible to ignore by blending storytelling with real marketing strategy. And today we're going to break down what's actually working in content right now and what's just noise. Jake, I'm really excited to have you on. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So, Jake, just to get started, what is something that most entrepreneurs believe about content right now that is a major misconception or is just flat out wrong?
Bigger division. I think there are some entrepreneurs who really understand it and some entrepreneurs who don't. And what's one thing? I'm like, is there one thing? But I think it depends on the person. Because I've seen wildly different views from very different people. I'll say something, I guess, slightly controversial is you don't need content.
No,
you don't. You can build a potentially billion-dollar business and not make a YouTube video. However, it depends on your goals. If you're trying to build a personal brand, but realize what is a personal brand? Personal brand is just the image and what do people know you for? That's all it is. I know I'm very fortunate to know a handful of millionaires and billionaires. Some who, if you don't know, if you see them walking down the street, you go, okay, it's a dude. But they walk into the right room, everyone goes, that's, but
Right.
because that's their personal brand. So it depends on the goals.
Okay.
I guess that's my hot take for them.
That's fine. We're going to get into this. So now you've generated 1 billion views with content you've created. Now, so, views is one metric, obviously. How many of those 1 billion views actually equaled additional revenue for the clients?
And that right there is $1 million question. I put that in the byline in my bio just because it's the sexiest thing to say. But when I tell the entrepreneurs I work with and just the ones that I consult with and whatnot, I go, views is the last metric you care. It is not the metric. It's not the KPI to track views and followers. But I've done millions in revenue for my clients. And so it all depends. You got to look at kind of the 4 stages of awareness and, where at the top, where it's the client, your prospect has no idea who you are or the problem they're trying to solve. You're just trying to get brand awareness. So you look at a Coca-Cola, a Starbucks, et cetera, McDonald's, Toyota. They're just trying to stay top of mind. So they want millions of views and billions of views purely because they're just, when that person wants a car for 3, 5, 10 years, they think of, or, when they're like, oh, I'm kind of thirsty. Oh, let me think of Coca-Cola. Or, compared to working with some other company that's like, okay, great. We're going to run this ad and we need to get conversions on this ad. We need a 5-to-1 ROAS on it.
Right. Well, okay. So say you were working with somebody just starting at zero, they new YouTube channel or new content channel of any kind, no followers, no subscribers, brand new to the market. What would you have them do to get started?
Basically what I would do is first just look at their goals. It's okay, great. What's the roadmap? What are we building towards? Because depending on the business, I might not even recommend I think organic is good, but if they're like, we need this to convert tomorrow. Okay, great. Well, you should run ads or cold outreach or just depending on I'm the first one to walk away from a sale, and just do what's right by the customer. Now, if they're like, okay, great. I want to do long-term organic. I want to build this. I want to start laying the bricks down for the foundation so that in 3-5 years, I have an unshakable brand and I can get leads for nothing. Great. Well, then I go, let's start with a channel. There's kind of 2 steps depending, if they're going to do it on their own, what I say is go pick pick a channel. Pick one channel that you like. Do you like TikTok more, Instagram more, YouTube more? Great. Start at a cadence. Doesn't like ignore every guru, every coach, every consultant. Pick a cadence that 100% you can stick with. If that's once a month, great. It doesn't matter. The biggest thing when it comes to social, there's kind of like 4 or 5 levels of it, of putting out content, that the biggest thing is consistency. Like, it is much better. And so I always compare social to going to the gym.
Okay.
And as anybody who's ever been on a fitness journey to get stronger, get leaner, get, thinner, knows that it's much more important to go to the gym for 20 minutes every day or every other day than it is for one day a week for 3 hours.
Right.
What's going to help you more? Or let me eat healthy every day versus, I ate really healthy, or I starved myself for one day and then I didn't care what I ate for the next week. Social media is the exact same way, especially organic content is the exact same way, where it is much better to go, okay, great. I can put out a TikTok video twice a week. I can think with that. Start there. Then eventually you get faster, becomes faster and easier. So like the gym where you're like, I can do this. You start having wins. You go, that video got like 1,000 views. Maybe I do 3 this week. You start seeing changes. So you start wanting to do it more.
Mm-hmm.
So the first stage is always just start with anything. Pick the channel that you like, because you kind of know also the cadence.
Yeah.
If you're on TikTok, you kind of know how to do the TikTok voice and what looks like a good TikTok video. And if it's what you consume, you can go, okay, great. Well, what's this format of these TikTok videos, which is very different than LinkedIn, as we know.
Yeah.
You go to TikTok versus LinkedIn, it's very different types of content. Same thing with Instagram, same thing with YouTube. Then the next step above that, which is typically where, if they work with me, I go, okay, great. Let's get a baseline of content going out. I recommend 3 times a week. I'm video forward. That's the best type of content right now that's going to get you the most attention to start with.
Yeah.
And we stay consistent with that. Might as well. And then again, talking about levels, we start with reposting the same video across all platforms, because it's free views, it's free traffic.
Right.
With no extra effort, essentially. Put in a social media scheduler, you get it out there. So slightly longer answer, but
no, that's great.
There's slight nuance shift depending on where you're at.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about, now you come from a filmmaking background, and which, obviously fascinating. You're out in, Southern California, and I'm sure you have a lot of organic exposure to, to the industry and to the, the top people in this field. I'm sure you have got a million really interesting encounters and experiences. I won't go that far, but I wanted to ask, how does this background, this exposure to the filmmaking world, how does that come to play when you're advising business people that don't have, they have zero filmmaking experience? Like what are you weighing in on typically in this, in these conversations? Are you talking about like the art of it or the storytelling? What is that?
I think it's a combination of a couple different things. Obviously, there's the technical sides of lighting, camera, audio, etc., and just helping with that. But the barrier to entry on the technical side is so low now, with how everything's gone so forward with content creation, that it's easier than ever, accessing great gear. I mean, to be honest, I'm shooting this podcast right now on my iPhone.
Okay.
I don't even have my nice camera set up or anything like that. We all have 4K cameras in our pocket.
Right.
So, but what makes that look better than another is like, a little bit of lighting, a little bit, good audio. And then outside of that is I look at storytelling, especially when it comes to a personal brand. You have 2 aspects of storytelling. You have the kind of very obvious one, which is like your personal stories. What are your personal stories? How do they relate to your brand? Because they're only your stories. And if somebody listens to a handful of my podcasts, they're going to hear the same story over and over and over again, because they're my stories. Tell anybody else's stories. So I am a big believer in having somebody kind of discover what their stories are, because it informs their brand. And then outside of that, there's just the basic structure of storytelling, just the art of storytelling. And that goes into whether you're writing, whether you're doing video content or any type of content. It's how do you structure this information? Okay, great. You have your hook. What is that opening, sentence, that opening moment, that opening line, the opening image that starts it. And then you have your body, and then you have, I call a punchline. People call different things. I'm not a big CTA guy. I'm not a big call to action guy. I'm a big believer in just, okay, great, reiterate it with punchline, the moral of the story type of thing.
Okay. Yeah. And that's interesting because a lot of people, the call to action has been a very popular thing to do. And a lot of people think they can't produce content that doesn't have a call to action. And so it is nice to hear a counterpoint there.
Which, comes from, not from a mentor of mine who is a massive influencer in online, and talking, 15 million on YouTube to, putting out 2 long form videos a day, 1 to 2 long form videos a day. So the man does, I think 100 million views a month type of thing.
Wow.
Unbelievable numbers. And he runs and then obviously with that, he's got a very successful brand. And when he was sharing that every time he starts putting CTAs in his videos, his sales drop.
Interesting.
And every time he doesn't put CTAs in his videos, his sales go up. Because at the end of the day, social is not a new thing for us.
Yeah.
We know to like, to subscribe, to comment. We're going to do that. We know to go to the link in the profile. Yeah. If you provide the right value, if the messaging and the storytelling is correct and done in the right sequence, it's going to lead naturally to the action.
Okay. No, that's good. Well, maybe if you don't mind sharing an example. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'm just going to put one caveat to that.
Yeah, please.
That's in organic video, in organic content. If you're doing an ad, put your CTAs there.
Yeah. Okay.
People naturally, anybody who lives at any time on social media knows the difference between an organic video and a paid social. We're used to going, oh, that's sponsored ad. And that's where you throw your CTAs. I just wanted to, for anybody who's coming up and still learning, and, I wanted to make that clarification.
And pardon me, I've got a contractor working in the background. I know he just has a small thing. Okay, perfect.
Your mic is fine. I don't hear anything.
Okay, good. Yeah. They just had a small thing outside my door, but I don't want to interrupt us here. But, well, can you tell us about any specific, I love hearing like war stories, so to speak, examples. Are there any specific pieces of content that stick out to you that you've generated that you could see clear results from this piece of content? Like anything you could map back that come to mind, like anything unusual about the content or the circumstances around it?
Not a specific piece of content, but I do have one story that kind of illustrates what you're talking about, or what you're asking. So I have a client who's in the entertainment industry, and he was very reticent to put out content. He's known him for quite a number of years, and we did for a little bit, but he was kind of okay, and kind of begrudgingly did it. But you kind of, I'm sure you've, have clients that, where they're kind of getting their arm twisted to do it, rather than compared to when they're like, all right, let's do this.
100%.
And yes. They have a different mindset about it. And so we did that, then he stopped a little bit. A couple years later, he went, and I saw the fire in his eye. He said, okay, Jake, I'm ready now. Now I'm mentally ready. I know I should have done it when we did it 3 years ago, but we didn't. And, let's do it now. And so we start putting out content, and we're, again, mind you, we're putting out content on all channels. We're making video content, and his Instagram is doing well. His YouTube is doing well. His TikTok is doing well. But different videos go, more viral on channels, and things are, and he works in a B2B space. So it's all networking. He works in the entertainment industry. It's not direct to consumer, or at least with what he does. It's, it's a network thing. So he does end up going to a networking party, some, fancy, nice Hollywood party where all the people are.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest filmmakers in Hollywood come up to him and says, I love your TikTok videos. And he's like, first of all, I'm honored. But this is a gentleman that he's never worked with, who I think he said he met once at like some other party 10 years ago type of thing, but like doesn't like have in his phone or like any relationship with. He then proceeded to tell me this, and the day or so after the next time we shot. And mind you, my client's TikTok is his least followed and least viewed channel. So then I went, okay, great. Oh, we gotta follow this director on TikTok and like interact. And then I tried to find him, not on TikTok. So he's clearly using like a burner account, some like alias or some user 72 like to watch content.
Interesting.
And so I say that story because you never know who's watching you. There's another great story from like a Grant Cardone guy, half on and off, and a couple of years ago or something like that. He's in the south of France on a yacht. He's like, and there was some live or some Instagram video or something like that. He's like, just so you know, or maybe it was right after. I forget the circumstance, but the point of the message was what I loved, which was, it's like, just so you know, like I post these videos. Sure, it's inspiring to you, and it's cool to see me on a yacht and whatnot, and I look flashy and everything like that. But it's also for the 5 people that I want to have meetings with, that I know that are watching my content, but that will never like me, that will never like a video, that will never comment on a video, that will never follow me. But I know they see my content. And it's just to let them know I'm out here in the south of France. Let's take a meeting.
Yeah. Interesting.
And so realize like these top CEOs, these top whatever, your clients are human. Some of them aren't on social, but a lot of them are.
Yeah.
Like they are, whether they have a social media account or not. It's just something to,
Yeah.
Because I work a lot in the B2B space where it's all and relationship driven. So what you're doing is, building that brand awareness. And like I have a mentor who has a client who they have, this is one last story.
Yeah. No, stories are great.
It continues to emphasize the point of like, you just put content out on your niche. And like, for example, this woman had, what was it? I think like 700 followers or something like that. Her videos would never get more than like 1,000 views. And she was running $1 million business purely off her Instagram, off of organic Instagram, but because she was so niched down. So everybody in that niche would follow her, would ask her questions. She would then get them into like a $30,000 thing because they knew she was the expert because that's all she talked about. Yeah. So the biggest thing, and that's where it's like staying on brand and your messaging. Like you don't need, and that's where, ironically, to kind of go back to where we started, where views don't matter depending on your niche. Like if you're being an entertainer, if you're being, one of the top TikTokers and whatnot, you need views because you get paid literally by views. You get paid by advertisers to get more views. That's your payment. You're getting paid directly from the social media channels by views. But if you're running a business, you're not getting paid by views. You're getting paid by conversions.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Jake, in the next, we've seen the quality of AI content increase dramatically and it's everywhere. And, and given that, looking for, forward in the next few years, what do you think, should people be embracing AI? Should they be trying to make things that are clearly not AI, like more talking head things, less polished to seem genuine? What are your thoughts with AI in the mix now, and what should we plan for in the next couple of years?
I think I'm a little slanted because of, obviously I enjoy the art form of shooting video, but I'm pretty pro AI in terms of certain things. Like I think it's a unbelievably valuable tool that we all need to learn as entrepreneurs. And we need to just, rewind the clock 30 years ago and look at the internet, the individuals who fought the internet and were like, no, this is not happening. This is not how we do it. They don't exist.
Yeah.
You look at the Y2K bubble and that whole thing that occurred, will there be a URL bubble? Or like, the same way there was a .com bubble with AI? Most likely. It'll probably have the exact same, I assume it will have the exact same runway as the internet. But but I think it's going to be a shorter runway. So I think they'll probably, and again, I am not by any means like an economist or anything like that. This is just pure speculation and a total guess. But I think it'll have a similar adoption and it'll go through iterations, it'll go through changes and whatnot. But with that, I think people will still have, it's a valuable tool. It makes life easier. It makes companies go faster and helps you generate more income if you know how to use it correctly. But, and this is kind of where I'm doubling down, is I think people will strive for human connection even more because of it. Because you go, what is AI? What is not? And so one of the big services I push is long form podcasting and digital shows. Because I do it for a multitude of reasons. One, it's a networking tool. Yeah. Hey, let's meet up. You and I right here, we never met before. I'll build a relationship. You and I can chat after this about let's see, does it make sense to work together? Just this, tell me a little bit more about what you do. Oh my God, we now have a genuine relationship, where we didn't have it before today. And I think at the end of the day, we're human.
Right. Yeah.
Humans want connection. They want relationships.
Yeah. No, I love it. Well, Jake, this is a lot of great information. I'm not a native to this world, but I'm trying to generate my own content that's valuable. And I love hearing from somebody like you and learning from you. So thank you so much for these contributions. If people would like to work with you, where can they find you? Where are the best places to find you?
LinkedIn is great. Okay. Just Jake Isham. Otherwise, Instagram, Jake Creative Marketing is great. If you pretty much Google my name, will find me, but you'll also find my photography, which I'm still actively doing, my filmmaking, which I'm actively doing. But feel free to message me on any of those channels. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Want to stay ahead of what's actually working in marketing right now? Head over to MarketSurge.io and see how we're helping businesses grow smarter, faster, and louder. That's MarketSurge.io, because your next breakthrough shouldn't be a guess.